Residential Site Valuation and Cost Approach. Page 63. Example. A person is building a house and trying to decide how many bathrooms to put in it. The market currently dictates that a home must have at least 1.5 baths. The cost of adding the half bath is relatively small, but a new house would be penalized in the market without it. This person is further deciding whether or not the master suite should also have a full bath. A market analysis by the appraiser shows that the cost of this additional bath can be recouped in a higher resale value when the new owner is ready to sell the property. But when an appraiser analyzes the market data for a home with 3 or 3.5 bathrooms, then this forces the appraiser to conclude that the owners cannot recoup the cost of the additional bathroom in a future sale of the house. The house in the market would be worth the same with 2.5 baths as it would be with 3 or more bathrooms. Contribution and the typical buyer. Just as the actions of a typical buyer are important when considering substitution, those actions come into play with contribution as well. The value of an item or improvement is only equal to what the market determines a typical buyer is willing to pay for it, and not what it actually cost. If you overbuild a house with too many features, then value would likely be less than the cost of building. This is referred to as an over-improvement. An over-improvement is a property use where the cost of the structure exceeds the completed market value. A property that is more expensive because it is too large or overbuilt with too many features will be shunned by a typical buyer who does not need that much space or those extra features. Buyers do not care what a house costs to build as much as what other houses are selling for in the area. But a new building must have greater value than the cost to build it, or else there would be no buildings without this profit motive. Still, the cost approach sets the theoretical upper limit on resale value. And under improvement is when the property improvements are not sufficient in relation to the highest and best use of the site. For example, a very small building on a large tract of land that could have accompanied or accommodated much greater use, the property does not achieve maximum value. A typical buyer would be more willing to buy a property that is being used to its highest and best use. But a typical buyer will not overpay either. The market still determines what a typical buyer needs in that area, what the contributory value of those needs are, and what she would be willing to pay. This is why the cost approach to appraisal is used as a check against the sales comparison method and not in place of it. The cost approach can help determine value, but the market is the final arbiter of value. Cost versus value versus price. Extra note, final is price. The last section mentioned that cost does not always equal value. Cost is the dollars needed to develop, produce, or build something. Value is what a typical person would pay for something. Price is what one person paid. Market value is the most probable price that a property should bring in a competitive and open market. But the value of a parcel of real estate should not be confused with its price. Market value is what a property is expected to sell for. Market price is what the property actually sold for. Both value and price may have nothing to do with what the property actually cost to build.